Should you hire that new employee? Should you invest in that expensive new software? Or should you launch that new service line that you've been thinking about? So as a business owner, your entire future is built on the quality of your decisions. But the problem is you're forced to make high-stake choices every single day, and often with incomplete information and obviously under pressure, right? But what if you had a simple, reliable filter for this? A short, three-question test that could bring instant clarity to any major business decision you'll ever have to make. Most business owners, they make critical decisions using a very unreliable process, and it's kind of risky. It's basically a mix of gut feel, anecdotal evidence, and a lot of sort of fear of missing out, like FOMO is driving a lot of decisions. Now, your gut feel is powerful, and it's what got you started, but as the business grows and the decisions become more complex, relying just on intuition alone is like you're navigating a ship through a storm without a compass. It's reckless, it's risky, and the other driver quite often is panic. So you see a competitor launch something new and you feel an immediate pressure to react and offer the same thing. You have a slow sales month and you make a desperate, short-sighted decision to bring in cash, even if it hurts the brand long-term, right? Maybe you have like a quick flash sale or whatever. Now, this leads to what I call decision whiplash. So the business is constantly swerving from one priority to the next. So the team becomes confused about what really matters, right? Because your limited resources, your time, your money, your focus are spread thin across a dozen sort of half-finished initiatives, and you're really no closer to your real long-term goals. So the lack of clear decision-making framework is mentally and emotionally exhausting. You're constantly second-guessing yourself. You lie awake at night. You're replaying the choices you've made. You're agonizing over whether you missed a critical angle. The weight of every decision rests entirely on your shoulders. And it also makes it impossible to empower your team to think strategically, because if a team member brings you an idea, your yes or no kind of feels like arbitrary, right? It's just your opinion in that moment. Like, they can't learn how to vet their own ideas systematically. They can't learn how to think like an owner, and therefore they can't take ownership over their work. So they stop bringing you ideas at all, and you remain the permanent bottleneck for all innovation in your company. Now, here's the solution. The most effective leaders don't just rely on better gut feel, they rely on better filter, right? They make decisions with a consistent, rational framework that removes emotion and ego from the equation. So they test every major opportunity against a set of core, non-negotiable criteria. I'm going to suggest this is the three-question test. It's a simple, powerful way to run any new idea through this filter, whether it's a $500 software or a $50,000 hire. If the idea can't get a clear, enthusiastic yes on all these three questions, then the answer should be an automatic no, or at the very least, like, not now, maybe later, right? And later usually means never. Now, here are the three questions. Question number one is the financial question. So the question is there a clear, profitable path to return on this investment? So this is the question of math. It's not about wishful thinking. It's simply about an honest assessment. Can you draw a reasonably straight line from this investment of time and money to either an increase in revenue or a significant decrease in cost? Is the potential return worth the risk? Now, if the path to a return is, blurry and murky, or if it relies on 10 other things going perfectly, then it fails the test. So that's the question number one. Question number two is the client question. And the question is, does this make us obviously more valuable to our best clients? Very specific, right? Not just any client, but your best clients, the ones who are the most profitable, the most enjoyable to work with, and the ones who refer the most to other people. So will this new service, or whatever it is, solve a deeper, more meaningful problem for them? Will this new process make their experience smoother and more, delightful? If an idea only serves a fringe audience, or if it distracts you from your core, most valuable clients, then it fails the test. It's not important, right? And question number three is the focus question. And that question is, does this align with what we uniquely are best at? And that's the question of strategy. So it forces you to play to your strengths and stay in your lane. If your company's superpower, let's say your unfair advantage, is incredible high-touch personalized service, then a new initiative to launch a low-cost, automated, self-serve product might be a bad idea, right? It forces you to compete in a game that you're not really built to win. Now, an opportunity must leverage what makes you different and better, but not dilute your core strengths. So these are the three questions: the financial question, the client question, and the focus question. And when you start to use this filter consistently, the stress of decision-making melts away. The right answer becomes obvious, an opportunity that will be clearly profitable and will, excite and delight your best clients and plays directly to your company's unique strength, well, that's an instant, resounding, confident yes. But an idea that has questionable ROI, doesn't really serve your core clients, and maybe forces you into an area where you don't really have much expertise, well, that's a simple, guilt-free, no thanks, not now and probably never, right? So this filter doesn't, remove your intuition, but it gives your intuition, your gut feel, a powerful framework so you can operate within it. It channels your instincts, your gut feel into a structured, repeatable, and defensible process. So the success of your business will not be defined by, the good ideas you pursue. It will be defined by the hundreds of good enough ideas that you have the discipline to ignore, that you don't get distracted. So this free question test is the tool that gives you that discipline. It gives you the clarity to focus your precious and scarce and limited resources on the very few things that will actually move the needle, and the confidence to say no thanks to everything else.